7, 4 by 7 approximates the 16 by 9 aspect ratio that you should be working in. So just let me check. Siobhan, is this the first time that I've seen you?
Yes.
So how well do you know Toon Boom?
Pretty well. I'm an animation major.
All right, so you're going to be working in, well, you can work in 1280 by 720 if you want, but the default in Toon Boom is 1920, which is, it's just a very big stage, that's all.
Right.
Right. So, so you have to do this pixie dust, you have to catch up.
Right. I had to move in pretty suddenly at the beginning of the semester, so kind of put me back a little bit. But
all right, so it'll be late, but I'll give you partial credit.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. So when I was saying, when people were looking at this thumbnail sheet, I had combined a bunch of things. So when you're looking at the build for the class, we're supposed to be doing something different today. I forget what it is. We're supposed to be doing, starting tornadoes. And last week we were doing smoke, but we didn't do that. So I'm doing like things completely out of order because I've combined projects. And the one thing there's really not a good place to for a flag in combination. So we're just going to do the flag as a standalone. It's not that hard. So let me do my little screen share for you. And what I want to do is I'm going to type in 2D animated flag wave.
If both flag movement and smoke are kind of influenced by the wind, they might actually make for an interesting combo.
Well, that's why I wanted you to do thumbnails. So if you want to do that, that's fine. Your projects do not and should not look what my sheet is at all. Okay. So if you want to do a little thumbnail, just take a minute to draw something up real quick. And then, post that in the class. You're more than welcome. Like, yeah, go for it. All right, so what I've got here is just the typical send up for the flag waving. And there's a couple of very, very early examples. This one right here is a very early example. There's only 6 frames. That's all it is. That's all you need to have is to get a flag to waving. This one, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one has 8 frames in it. This is on 2s, right? Or it's actually on 4s. But the problem is, and I always grouse about this example writer and this example too, is that, and I think this is good. I think that if I just click on this, and I hope I don't lose my other references, that's good. So like in this one, you can kind of see that there's an upper node right here, and a flag is made out of some sort of material. So that means the bottom part of the flag, it should have an upper node to it as well. This is a lower node, and so this is an overall S shape. And this is an overall S shape. Well, that node right there, and sometimes you can see it more clearly in an example where someone's put like a little X on it. And I don't see, yeah, this one. So in this example here, I think this is from the Timing for Animation book, which is John Hallis and Harold Whitaker, is that you can kind of see this little X. In the next frame, it moves out. And then in the next frame, it moves out, and in drawing number B or whatever, you can see that there's a new downward node happening. This little first node, it's now the very tip, and then at the end, it starts to repeat. So these 2 frames are very close to each other. And so with just 4 or 5 drawings, you can get a flag to wave. Here's the problem. Is everybody listening? Is everybody listening? Both feet on the floor, head forward, straight up. I want you to look at this shape right here. This shape is like a C shape with a little curl that goes to the upper left a little bit, or almost straight up. Well, look at the next keyframe. They're the same shape. So there's a little C shape and then it goes kind of straight up. Look at this one. So there's a little C shape and it goes straight up. I was like, uh-oh, something's happening here. And then in this frame here, this C shape is animated into this upper area, this little upper node here, just a little bit. I'm like, uh-oh, and this has problems written all over it. So where this is a really great, easy to understand that this node, for instance, right here, and in the example that I have, this was actually a different number so that it wasn't being confused with this X. This would be B. So follow this one. It moves straight across. You see how it's moving straight across? And in the fourth drawing, a new one starts. And by the time you get to the first key, so that's the whole thing about cycling in animation. And on my principles of animation sheet, I don't remember if I included cycling or not. So that's how you get the wave to cycle. So you get this upper node, you follow it through because the wind is blowing. It's blowing from left to right. Everyone following? So, comma, if the wind is blowing from left to right, how in the world could this upper corner, which is pointed up, be almost in the same exact place for the next drawing, the breakdown drawing, and then almost in exactly the same place for the next key drawing, and then in whatever breakdown, and look, so if you do this one just straight out of the box, you're in danger of this piece of fabric, the edge of the fabric, not moving at all. Now, I don't have one that's in motion here. I'm just cautioning you. You know, in this example here, they're trying to tell you that there should be some sort of overlap here. And so this is a different one. This one has like a little curl in it. This one is from the updated version of that same textbook where they're talking with a top-down version of the flagpole and that the wind has little eddies in it and they're moving, like it's like moving a wave. So this is a pretty good example here. So if you wanted to just do a flag waving and you wanted to use this one as reference, this one is pretty good because it's got that little crossover in it. All right. So I'm just looking at some other ones down here. This is the best one. This is the best one. It's got a nice 15-mile-an-hour wind. There's a little crease in it. You can see that the little node continues all the way out to the end. The tips of the flag curl over. There's like a little circle 8 right there. That's a really good one. That's really nice. This one, it's a little bit strange. You know, well, you know, it looks like a dog's tail too much. This looks like a student was working with the example that we were just looking at a moment ago, but look at how this, I'll just put my cursor right there. You see how the cursor just, the flag hangs on that? That's inconceivable. If the wind is blowing 15 miles an hour, that it should not be hanging out there in the wind. All right, so then this one is just, and so look at this example. You know, this one, whoever put this up, whoever drew this, it's like, look, we've got a 15-mile-an-hour wind here. The edge of this flag is completely straight. And look, all key drawings are right on top of each other. No, N-O, I won't allow it. This is not what I want. So, you know, this one, it's okay, but it can be a little confusing if you're not paying attention to where the edge of the flag is. This one and this one are very similar to each other, but this one explains that curl and the edge just a little bit. This is the best one. This is also 26 drawings. So we're gonna go somewhere in between. So right now what I need to do is put this away. Actually, yeah, let me put this away. Let me just do one more thing here really quickly. Javon, you said you know Toon Boom pretty well. I just had 2 notes for today that if you wanted to slide things down the timeline in Toon Boom, like here I have my draw core. that I can just hit the plus key on the keyboard, however many frames to move things down the timeline, or the minus key to bring it back, right? You know this? Russ, yes?
I
And
didn't.
then the other option is that you can shift select you can shift select this whole bit of animation and then just grab it and move it down the timeline. You can also switch layers if you want. So that's how you would move things down the timeline. I
Gotcha.
forget who I was suggesting that you needed 18 frames at the beginning of your shot. So you could, if you want, shift select all of this and move everything down the timeline. So that's how you move things down the timeline. All right, within this one, does anyone need me to go back over that little glow? How to do a glow in the nodes?
Glow would actually be kind of cool.
What's
Was
that?
that what was that? Glow would be kind of cool. Actually, I'd like to see that.
All right, so we're just gonna do it for this layer right here. This is my drawing core layer. Let's take a look at it. Oh, you know what? Let's pick this one. Let's pick this layer here, this mist. Perfect. So do you see what I did there? I was just making sure that I was on the right layer. So this mist already has a blur on it. And then we're gonna go over to the, oops, grabbing the wrong thing here. Got my zoom window in the way. We're gonna go to the node view and we're gonna just use the space bar to move this around. I wanna make sure that I can see my mist layer, which is right here. Oops, right there. And we've got a blur on it. And now we're gonna put a glow on it. And the glow comes from the node library. So you just come down here and you find glow and you grab it and you just put it right into the node view. You go back to your timeline. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the node right here. Yeah, once again, I forgot the shortcut for how to connect these. I just do it manually. So I'm gonna feed the mist with the blur into the glow. And then I'm gonna take the glow and put it into the composite. So remember that this can get really messy right here. And you can see that the preview here was like, this is already giving me a preview of what the glow is looking like right over there. So in this view right here, which is selected in red, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit Command A on the keyboard to select everything. And the middle mouse on your, middle wheel on your mouse is zoom. Or 1 and 2 on the keyboards are zoom, but I'm gonna hit this key and just say 25 pixels and say, okay. That spreads everything out by 25 pixels so you don't lose anything. Again, you can zoom in and out of this. All right, so once you've got the mist layer connected to the blur and the glow, now we can just go back to our color mode. We can go back to the timeline view, and now we have a glow, which is right here, which is nested underneath the blur. So just open up the glow, and right now you can see that you can glow RGB values and your alpha. Take your little render star and see what it looks like. So that's what the glow looks like right now. Let's take the intensity. Let's just leave everything the same. We're gonna take the intensity up to just like 2.5. And so that's how you play with the glow. And so for those of you who are like trying to get more of a contrast between your pixie dust and the background, try copying a layer exactly as it is and putting a glow on it. Because then that way it'll sharpen the contrast between whatever you've got. All right? All right, so now I'm gonna save this and I'm gonna put it away. All right, so here's another variation of a flag. There's tons of different kinds of flags. And this one's really good. I like this one. So what we're going to do, and remember that we're trying to get this puppy to loop. So, oops. All right, so what I'm going to do is just explain a couple of things. The first thing that I did is I have a drawing layer, which I believe is just my flagpole, and that is holding for my entire shot. I'm recording this, by the way, so I'll put the up on YouTube and I'll put it in the class in just a couple hours. I like this flag. I think that a banner flag is really good. It's going to show a lot of motion, and it's a really good example for how to plan out this wave motion. So right now you can kind of see what I've got here is that this line right here indicates the uppermost node of this arc. And remember that the node here really should be mimicked in the bottom as well, because the fabric is not going to squash or stretch that much. So if it's a down node right here, then it should be a down node here. This number 1 node right here, which you can see is numbered right there, is going to go all the way to this position here. All right, I'm kind of trying to figure out how my numbers went here. It looks like I was numbering them sequentially from this to this. All right, so I was just, let me pick a different color here. All right, so I believe that I have what I call an arc layer. And my arc layer, I don't know what I put on. It says that there's something there, but I don't know what it is. So this is my flag layer. And then this is the flagpole. This is arc 2. Okay, so let me put my notes here on arc 2. And I have arc 2 for the entire duration, which is only 32 frames. So that's all you're doing is a 32 frame cycle. But what I want you to pay attention to is this node has to animate that way into this position in a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drawings. So then it continues. It moves from this position into this position, or the adjustment was actually backwards just a little bit. But it continues to move. This particular spot, if I just take this little dot right here and I animate it, it's going to move from this position all the way to this position. And then it's going to move from there all the way to whatever position here, and then whatever position there, and all the way out to the end. All right. And then the lower ones are going to do the same thing. So if I take the green one and I put like a little X right here, it's going to animate into this position, and then it's going to animate into this position, and then into this position as well. Okay. And then what I'm also going to see is that this tip of the flag here is going to move in a circle 8. And we're just going to pick this circle 8 at random, almost random. It's going to go backwards, maybe a little forwards here, a little backwards, so that we know that we're going to get some motion in the very tip of this flag. So if I just take this as drawing number 1, and we have it moving this way, and then all the way around this way back into the starting position, then I can just number it all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the middle, and then 8 would be here. So the apparent motion is going to go all the way around. So whenever I draw the tip of the flag, just the very tip of the flag is going to move in a circle 8. And then what I want to do is just one more strange little thing in this arc, in this setup. And that is that I'm going to explain to you something that I have just relative teaching experience with this. And I'm going to turn my flag sideways for just a moment. And I want you to remember that, you know, arcs are a principle of animation. And that this node right here, this upper node, it's actually moving that way. With an ugly color. Can I change this? So this little node is moving that way. And then it's going to curl around, and then it's going to come all the way around here. It's going to follow. So don't forget about this little space right here. This upper node has to cross all the way over to here before it curls around. All right, escape. Shift M. All right, did that make sense to everyone? That upper node, it's not going to dip down. It's going to stay up right there. And then therefore, this one is going to do the same thing as it moves along. All right, so the other thing that you want to think about here is just as this flag is being blown in the wind, I have this crease right here. I'm going to change color just for a moment. So I have this little crease in the flag, and that crease is going to become this shape. And then as it curls around, it can actually move all the way out into this shape if you're into it enough. But that means that this has also got to start. This little crease has to start from over here somewhere. So we'll talk about this here. And remember, right now I've only got 8 drawings. So we draw the first flag and we do our arc and we plan it out. This node has to move into this node, which has to move into this one, and the upper node is here. So you're tracking it along 8 different places. And by the time it gets to the end, this little I position is now doing a circle 8 in one of those positions. All right, let's just take a look at this. It's starting from 1 to 32. So this is how the flag is moving right now. Let's set it for loop. All right, it's moving pretty well, right? Everyone okay with this idea? You should be able to do this in a week. So there, right now I have everything on 4s. All my drawings are on 4s. And so again, what I would probably do is divide this area between drawing, this is my first drawing here, and divide it up into 8 separate little parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if this has to move from the first frame into now the frame 29, so there has to be 8 drawings in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So ignoring just my little numbers, I think I was counting something different. I was counting the creases or something. So each one of the positions on this node has to follow that amount of distance going that way. And then the same thing, this node is going to move into this position in the same number of drawings. It looks like it's slowing down a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the tip will be looping. All right, so in order to accommodate this, basically you've got this drawing here, which is drawing number 8. Just to think about this. Everyone okay? So we wanted the upper node, but we started, we actually have a drawing 8 right there. And if you just see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit my G key and just go through my frames, and I'm looping right now. You can kind of see that there's this little moving hold right here. This is what I would highly recommend, is to take your drawing and do a nice little drawing of this banner moving like this. And what I did is I took this and I drew it just on the very first frame, and I turned my onion skin on. And I have my onion skin set up for just one drawing in the beginning, before, and one drawing afterwards. And on each subsequent new drawing is trace this back as close as you can get it. So go to the next one and just trace it back as close as you can get it. Any amount of wiggle is what you want. This flag is being blown in the wind. You do not want to copy and paste this little arc right here. I promise you, you do not want to. You want a little bit of wiggle. When we play this, you want that little piece right there to wiggle around just a little bit. So that's what's called tracing something back. In the industry, if you were on the arc layer and you wanted to indicate this, you would just say T over B. That means trace back. And that this is a BG. Okay, you got this idea? So I don't think I have, let me just take a look here. What I can do is I can render just a little movie for you. Oh yeah, let me explain one more thing before I do anything else. All right, so don't be dismayed about this curl over right here. It's in the drawing, it's in the flag layer, which I just called F. And I'm going to turn my onion skin off because it can be just a little confusing. So what you're doing is you're following either the upper or the lower node. And what you have to do, if everyone's paying attention, see anyone's falling asleep over there, is that this node right here, let's just watch it. See how it moves? So this little curl moves. So I'm going to go back to my first keyframe. This is my first keyframe. This whole unit right here, this little curl has to move from this eye position into this eye position in 8 drawings. So you just move it, just like we did here. So you just draw a little S shape, and it literally is an S shape. And remember that when you're doing that, that S shape is moving along a trajectory that's like this. And I'm doing this line indicates the front top, this is the front bottom, and this is the back top. We don't really ever see the back bottom. So it's just moving on those 3 little tracks right there, little S shape. So this, it's moving from, so this whole little curl is moving from here to there in 8 frames. And then it has to continue moving out that way in order to be, and it loosens up. This S shape, as we watch it, it loosens up and just becomes the tip. You see that right there? It just loosens up and becomes the tip. And you can see that the tip of the flag is moving along that little circle 8 right there. Everyone see that right there? The flag, the tip of the flag is just moving right along that circle 8 right there. And it's just that easy. All right, so going backwards is that we're going to go to our first keyframe here. This is the first keyframe. This little crease becomes this S shape. This little crease right here, and then I put it there because it's about the same distance away. That's the thing. It's that if the distances are diminishing just a little bit, then this curl actually started over here somewhere. But for our first keyframe, it's about right here, and it's right here. So this curl, this little S shape, is starting right here on keyframe number 1. It's also in this position, but now it's a big S shape, and now it's a smaller S shape. And by the end of our drawing in the end of the drawing in the very first keyframe, it's already diminished itself to just being part of the movement of the tip. So it starts out as a little crease and then it becomes the S shape. Watch. See it? It moved right there. It's moving. It's coming across. It's coming. Oh, look. Now it starts to become a gentle S shape right here. You can see just a little bit of the back of it. And remember, it's got to be right here. It'll be right here in just 3 more drawings. Then it becomes a bigger S shape. And then it keeps moving. Then it's moving again. That was probably a little too far of a jump, but that's okay. And then it becomes the first keyframe. So going backwards now, this is the first keyframe. This shape right here needs, see, it's not there yet. So let's put this little crease in there. This is the first keyframe. And then on the second drawing, that crease has to start a little bit. It has to continue. It has to continue. Forget about this one. For some reason, it's just holding. And that's just about right there. So let's just look at that little crease that I just drew. And you can see that that little tiny crease that I just drew becomes the S shape. And then the thing that you're just worrying about is you're making sure that the flag isn't being dragged downwards, but by the wind, it's not being dragged upwards. It's just a pretty steady little wind. All right, one of the things that I can do for all of you now, and I haven't done this in a little bit, so let me remind myself how to do this. It's a nice Shift S. So I'm going to command here. This is my main select tool. I'm going to hit Shift M, which takes me back to the stage. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. And all of a sudden, I'm finding Toon Boom to not be responsive. Hold on. There we go. So I think that what I want to do is I want to rotate this just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these drawings and I'm going to shift select all these drawings. I don't know if you can do this with multiple layers. Let me see. There's a key under the main select tool here that's called reposition all drawings. And it looks like it's letting me shift everything. Let me use the rotate just a little bit. And it's not. So what it's doing is it's telling me that all these layers are selected, but it only selected one layer at a time. I was just going to rotate this a little bit, but in order to get everything from both of my arc layers and the drawing of the flag and the other things, I'd have to match them just a little too precisely. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to change my mind. All right, so let me turn these 2 layers off. I'm going to just render a quick little movie for you. All right, so this is MPEG-4. It's going to the desktop. There's Billy B. Pixie Dust. No, this will be Flag Loop FL. And this will be version 8. It's going to go from frames 1 to 32. All right, I'm going to just put that in the message area for you. I'm going to, all right, I'm back, everybody. Give you a chance to turn your screens back on. Here we go. All right, at your request, here's an introduction into Smoke, which I think is actually a perfect place, because if you get this notion of the nodes of a flag moving from left to right or right to left, it's really the same thing with Smoke. It's really, truly the same kind of thought process, But there's one difference. Uma, what's the difference? Flags are made of fabric. Smoke is just made of particles. So it's almost easier. You're a little bit more leeway, a little bit more freedom to play with shapes. And remember, when you think about shapes of things, go all the way back to your rules of art. If you're drawing pixie dust and the thing looks like a snake, then it probably doesn't look like pixie dust. Pixie dust is sparkling, right? What does the flag look like? If that one flag, it looks like a banner flag and it's a good drawing, and the next, so it has to look like what it's supposed to be. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you right now. All right, so this is the idea of the smoke itself. I'm going to bring this out just a little bit. All right, so what I had done is taken my little drawing that I had done on paper and I transferred it just to the thumbnail here. What I did is I draw a horizon across. I had drawn my little mountain. I had drawn my smoke. How do I want my smoke to look? When I'm drawing my mountain here, one of the things that I was thinking about was that there's a cinematic third, which is about right here. And then another cinematic third here, and another about right here, and another here. And I hope I'm drawing on the right layer because I don't know what layer I'm drawing on. I should have checked. Hold on one second, everybody.
It's shame.
I'm on the background, that's fine. All right, so I could have moved my volcano onto this focal point here, but I think that what I wanted was a little bit more area to play with the smoke up here. I also wanted another volcano in the background where it was just throwing projectiles. So this one was going to be smoke. This is going to be the lava because it's nice up and close. There's a huge area of water here. And in this water, what I had planned on something that was going to be a water splash right here. And then I have lightning in here too. So if you jump over to my Pinterest board, I just added a really great little, I don't know if it's true, but I like this idea that there's a very simple progression to the lightning, which grows like in 3 frames. You've got a hook, a loop, a wobbly bit, thicker area, which is, I like that, and then a branch out. And that's pretty true of many pieces of lightning. You know, it looks like this one is lightning with fireworks at the same time. And I just put this in here, which is smoke from the Iron Giant. So whereas my smoke might look a bit more roundy, where my smoke is going to be a bit more cartoony, Warner Brothers looking, you can have the smoke be more intrepid, more singy, more curling and ominous. So there's all kinds of different variations there. And I don't expect you to do yours just like me. I encourage you to do it a little different at all. So in this example right here, we're just going to talk about the smoke. And I have the smoke looping in 87 drawings. And I don't know why I picked 87. I forget. Oh, it's supposed to be 88. And so that sounded reasonable to me. It was 88 goes into 44, 22, 11. I don't exactly remember how I managed to hit the number 88 if I'm doing even numbers. But that's okay. The idea is that we've got somewhere around 88 frame loop, which I can make this smoke move fairly slowly as long as I want. Okay, so now what I would like to do is I would like to take some of these things away. I'm going to take my overlay off. I'm going to take the tree away. I'm going to take the lava away. There's a fire in here. We'll go over fire in another class, in another session. I'm gonna take the fires away. I'm gonna leave the water there. Let's just play this. All right, I'm gonna set this to loop and let's just look at the smoke itself. I have it looping from 1 to 88. All right, so come on, Toon Boom. All right, so one of the keys for you is noticing these little circles, these little open areas in the smoke, where it starts out small, it gets a little bigger, and this is where the looping thing comes into play with just the same idea as the flag, is that it starts from very small, and then it continues. So this little hole in the smoke actually becomes this big hole all the way out here. Each one of these little outer arcs here animates up into itself. This little node right here animates all the way across. So I don't know why Toon Boom is lagging in the loop here. I'm gonna stop the playback. All right, so what I want is, and you saw the water splash. Again, we'll do the water splash next week or something. So what I want right now is, I want to see what this, hold on one second. All right, so in this, I have smoke that has a highlight and a glow and some Gaussian blurs in there. I'm going to turn all this off. And I want to see what my original line layer looked like for the smoke. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to turn my rough back on. So that rough is just one singular drawing. So this is a really great way to start right here. I've got just the background way back there. I've got my rough drawing right here. And the way to start thinking about this is the following. Perfect. I'm going to pick up a black color. And I don't see a true black. So I'm going to make a true black. I got 000, that's complete black. All right, so you can see that I did a little sketch for where I want my volcano to be. And you can see here that I've got indications for where my nodes are. Just like the flag, I'm gonna start the smoke coming out of the volcano. And this is gonna be my A node right here, just like this. And then this is gonna be it's gonna move from this A node position into this one. So I'm gonna delineate it by making a little smaller, maybe an inside curve, change my mind, maybe just a smaller outside curve. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking about a couple of things. I'm thinking about very large, large, medium, medium, small, small, and very small shapes. So what I'm thinking of is just a variety of outside circles. So I'm keeping track. All of these right here are kind of in this medium to medium small range. So all of this is going to plume into a big node like this. So all these little shapes are going to animate in however many frames I picked down here. I think it was a total of 8 or something. And 8 became, I timed it out in 8 frames, and then 8, it was on 11s. For some stupid reason, when I did this demo, I was animating on 11s, which is unheard of. All right, so, and then this shape right here, this little under shape becomes this. So now I've got a large shape with this, and then I'm gonna get a very large shape with the next version of this coupling of smoke right here, moving from this into this shape. Now those 3 circles that I have right there are actually really important, and you can animate the smoke just by drawing those circles and animating those circles from this position 1 into this position here. So now it's going to be, let me remember my numbers. Yeah, this is going to be frame 1 again, and this is frame 1 again. And so it's going to animate in 11 different drawings. And I didn't mean to pick the number 11. I usually would animate on 2s, and I would pick the number 12 or 13, but for some reason the timing just landed here. So in 11 drawings, I would go from this shape into this shape. And then this is all drawing 1, and then this shape into this shape. All right, so this is the top of the smoke. The bottom of the smoke has these same kind of nodes right here, but it moves quite a bit faster on the bottom. And so I would do the same thing here. I'm going to start with the medium small to a very small shape here. And you'll find that when we start painting that you want to close these shapes, because just like Photoshop, it won't paint unless it's closed. Here's a very small shape. Here's a small shape. And then here's another medium shape. So what I want to look at is either this whole combination here or just this shape moving into this shape. So this is going to become a large shape with another medium shape and then a very small shape there. So this is going to animate into this position, and then it plumes out, it grows, it goes all the way like into this shape right here. And so going backwards, you got a B node, you got 2 little grapes between it. So I want one shape here and then another shape here, and then another one here with a super small shape there. So that's going to animate in, again, 11 drawings out to here. So the relative speed is that this distance right here and this distance are about the same, but there's going to be a little bit of gathering. These exterior shapes are going to become one. Sometimes what I'll do is if I'll look at this and go, you know, I need like a little clump of smoke, that this shape right here, which I'll use just a dot, is going to actually break away and become this, and then eventually move off the screen. But then this is faster. In the same number of drawings, this small shape is going to plume into this, which is going to plume into this, and then eventually just off the screen. So that's your first keyframe. That little drawing that I just did right there is your first keyframe. And a lot of times what we'll do is when we get into the full demo here is on, this is just a rough, but when I go to tie it down, I'll do like a paint line on the exterior side so that I can just draw and just end this here and I can paint it. And I'll show you how to paint in the next couple weeks. Yeah, I don't think we talked about painting yet. So that's how you would do this. And so then I just have this on my rough layer. And then what I'm just gonna make a new demo layer. And I'm gonna put this 88. And I'm gonna drag this, hopefully it landed in the right place. It is in the right place. So let's just take this. And what I'm gonna do on this demo layer is I'm gonna copy. Now this is called tying down, when you kind of, actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, no, that's fine. So now I'm just kind of thinking of what these might be for final shapes. And I'm just doing the exterior first because in this demo, we include a bunch of things like the highlight and the shadow layer and interior holes, whether the smoke is registered to the top of the volcano or whether it's creeping along the ridge of it. There's all kinds of things to consider. Again, we're thinking, even when we're tying down, we're thinking of the quality of our exterior shapes. Large, small, medium. Oops, I don't like that. You know, does it look like smoke? Do you have a good variety of shapes? You know, if you hear me repeating anything, it'll be when we're talking about smoke and aesthetics, it's like, does it have a variety of shapes? All right, so when I'm doing it this way, these little exterior nodes here, these little hanging fruits, make it much easier to follow than if you were just imagining on this concept drawing for the Iron Giant, you've got an exterior node right there. You've got like an exterior node, and that node is going to move into this position, and then it's slowing down. It's going to move into this position, and then it's going to move into this position, and finally up here. So like for instance, with this, if you're going to do this one as a style of smoke, or you really like this, then you're going to have to pay more careful attention to these softer and more gentle outside curves, as opposed to mine, which are much more cartoony. Like this interior shape right here isn't going to move like hardly at all, but this interior shape, this little like worm, this little noodle thing could move into, animate into this whole shape up here. This little noodle shape is going to animate all the way into this one. It's the same theory, it's the same concept. This is different. I'm not going to talk about that. I just did something wrong. Hold on.
It's actually kind of hard to wrap my head around this. Is there any like gifs that you have stored of these? Like to see the more realistic smoke. Because I'm like scouring YouTube right now trying to find some examples.
Well, it's there. You've got some stuff there. But if you follow my example right here, you can't get into too much trouble. So right there, I'm just going to use these shapes right here just for my drawing number 1. So now I'm going to go out to frame number 11, and I'm just going to animate. So one thing that I can do is I've got these little 6 balls right here. And what I can do is on this particular drawing number 11 is well, on my arc layer, I could figure out the timing. So I need 11 drawings between this and this. And so I can do it a couple of different ways. Let me go back to this rough node here. And I just want to see what 11 drawings looks like on this particular arc here. So this is drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'm overestimated. So let me make these a little tighter together. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's how far this smoke is moving for every single drawing on this side. And this one's going to be it's moving a little faster right here. So drawings 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And you probably need to keep that moving. So to get it off the screen. All right, so, and you need 11 drawings between this position and this position, and then this position and this position. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And look how much faster it's moving here. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then because I have a lot of screen real estate here, and so remember, this is key number 1, this is key number 11. That it's gonna continue to move up off the screen. So this would be drawing number 2, drawing number 3, drawing number 4, drawing number 5. Right, so this is drawing number 1, this is drawing number 1. Right, so then back to my keyframe at 11. on my demo 88 layer, I can just take this smoke and I know that these guys are moving just a little bit every drawing. So I take these two pieces of smoke and I continue to move them up just like this. And I go out to frame 22. And I want my onion skin on so I can see where the last one was. I'm gonna go, I wanna just, I can't see it. I don't know why I can't see it. Oh, I'm sorry. It will change in a moment. This is the cool and the strange thing about Toon Boom at the same time is that now I can see the red line right here, but I couldn't see it because I wasn't extended. But as soon as I make a mark on here, it changes. It fills in that keyframe. All right, so once again, I'm just gonna draw this little circle and I'm wanting to keep the circles moving upwards.
So it kind of seems like the circles that you make at the bottom, they won't become the circles that appear later on, but they do need to reach that area and they can change, but they absolutely cannot disappear, it sounds like. Like if you want to make a more interesting shape, it can like form into a more interesting figure.
Smoke can dissipate, but the thing is that it is imperative that you animate it so that it dissipates and that you it doesn't look jarring and that it looks like smoke. You know,
Yeah, okay.
Smoke can do all kinds of things. If you imagine that all of these shapes, instead of just drawing the circle getting bigger, for instance, you could draw the circle getting smaller. And you could draw these circles getting smaller. But then what that's going to read like is steam.
Okay. Or like a match smoke. Or no, I guess
A match smoke is completely different. So, you know, there's so many examples that we can't possibly do them all. And if you can pick whatever you would like, and I didn't have this pre-drawn here. Yeah, the pixie dust in Peter Pan is crazy. It's beautiful. What I'm looking for, I'm looking for like candle smoke.
How would like cigarette smoke behave? That's usually skinnier, the nose on the outside.
That's going to be this almost the same as cigarettes and candles are going to behave very similar to each other.
Oh, that's convenient. Okay.
But like let me see if I can find it quickly. Like this one. Like that one right there, a cigarette smoke can behave like this for sure. You know, someone might be gesturing with their mota. They could be gesturing with their little doobie.
Yeah.
No one's catching my vibe. They could be gesturing with their pipe. They'd be gesturing with their bong. I'm not getting a reaction at anybody. And their hands might be going back and forth, right? They're going to pass the duchy one way or the other. It's Green Day. It's 420. Only a couple people are getting it. All right, and so that smoke can just do all kinds of fun things like this. If I cross-reference this, you know,
there's an example right there.
Yeah, you know, that design isn't the best one.
Oh, okay.
But let's just go back to the idea of smoke. Come on, little computer. I think I have too many things open. All right, so we were here. Let me start this one. These guys are going to be moving, and I'm looking at my tracks just a little faster. One time while I was demoing this, I had people copy and paste, and I'll never do that again because it doesn't add to the spontaneity of your drawings. So here's drawing number 33. Again, as soon as I touch anywhere on the screen, these frames will fill in and the red will change its intensity. And I can see where it is. Again, these guys are moving just about that fast. And you can do this just to get the core movement of the size of the plume itself, and then go back in and fill in the little missing shapes. These guys are moving a little faster, and they're growing, right? So they're moving a little faster, and they're growing. Now we're on frame 44. Again, touch. These guys are moving slow. And that might be a deal right there. I might have drawn that one too big, but we'll figure it out here in a moment. Again, one of the things I'm doing is I'm making sure that the top of the arc of these circles is it's moving along this arc, and it's because that's the trick, is that you don't want the smoke to move around randomly. If you wanted this shape right here, for instance, I'm going to do like a little sketch. If you wanted this shape right here to move inside and then go outside like this, then you would have to plan, instead of this kind of an arc, it would be this kind of arc. And you can do that. That would be cool. Did you see what I just did right there? So instead of moving these little plumes of smoke on a straight line, it's just got a little curve to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all I'm doing different there. All right, so then this guy, and I probably didn't grow that one as much as I should have. Again, this is just rough placement. We're gonna go out to frame 55. And there's that onion skin thing we just talked about. All right, so once again, when I'm doing this, I'm paying attention to this little tick mark here. How fast are these puppies moving? Go out to frame 66. This is just to get the main volume. And something weird's happening right over there because I don't know where I am, but that's okay. 77, frame 77. And if you want to extend this exposure, that's just, if you take your key right, hit there and F5 on the keyboard, it extends the frame all the way to the end. All right, so let's see what it plays like just for right now. I got 1 to 88. All right, you see it moving, right? And then that's your guide, and then you could just do a tie down on top of that. So that's essentially how you do any of these smokes. I think I'm still recording, so let me. So let's just talk about a couple other examples just from here. All right, but we don't have it set for smoke yet. So let's go backwards. And let's set it for the pluming smoke that I like. Again, this example from Iron Giant, it's probably in this board down here somewhere. I like it. You know, this one is interesting right here. In this one, instead of drawing the circles, you can kind of see that someone's actually either working in 4D or Unity or something, and these are actually 3D circles that get toon shaded as smoke. And there's all kinds of fun things that can happen if you remember one, like you can have one smoke going in and out because there was an eddy in the air itself. Well, maybe one little plume of smoke here is going faster than some of the stuff behind it. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. Let's see what happens if we just cross-reference this one. Ooh, it's actually moving. I think it's moving too fast. And we're not getting a good cross-reference for it. But you know, this one is interesting. It's kind of anime looking. And so if you just study this one, this side of the node goes inside and then it becomes bigger and then it becomes really big. So there's 3 main keyframes in this side of the smoke. And then on the right side of the smoke, there's 3 main keyframes and then just a bunch of detailed drawings inside it. And if there's 3 main keyframes and a couple of breakdowns, this is probably 15 or 16 drawings. That's all you're looking at right there.
And how would you be able to identify the path of action? Like, would you say that's a straight one, or like it's kind of curving outwards? Because
I'm sorry, I didn't hear all your words. Could you say that again?
The path of action of the rap animation.
Yeah.
That's a relatively straight one. Then it's just that the
Well, these
are giving
guys,
it those weird forms, or is it following a curved line?
this one here.
Yeah.
So the line of action for the smoke on the left side, it goes inside and then bellows out. It's like a big S shape right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one bellows out and then comes back in.
Okay.
And again, I think that what really helps is just seeing this thing move. It's moving just a little too fast, but this is brilliant.
Yeah, because you can see that this one has a very subtle S to it.
It is an S shape, and it's a double S. It goes out and in and then out again. You know, and it is cycling. Like, well, this one says 9 drawings. It says right there. So whenever you see any of these little shapes down here, these little cashew shapes, right? This cashew shape becomes more of a beetle nut. And then there's 9 frames in between those two. This one's interesting here. Look at this.
Ooh, Akira.
So I'm studying it. I'm looking for a repeated shape. Oh, let me watch it again. So what I'm looking at is like this shape right here. And I'm not seeing this one cycle. I'm going to hear it again. Maybe they repeated. I don't know. A lot of times when you're looking at effects, you want to look for one particular shape that gets repeated. And then you know, okay, so now go back and look at it again and count from mark 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you can count 4 seconds into it, then you know it's 96 frames of animation. And then you just look at it. Is it on 4s? Is it on 3s? You can tell. If it's moving really, really smoothly, I would doubt that 96 frames of smoke would be on 1s. Why am I not getting a lot of other smoke in here? I'm very bummed.
Oh, what's that one? The Art of Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Say it again.
If you go up, there's one of the Art of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. There, it's a GIF.
You know, these are great keyframes. You just have to figure out what to do with them.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I thought I said GIF at the bottom corner.
Well, this is a good example here. This is a really good example of different kinds of smoke. So in this one, the smoke is getting thinner. And so you got a right side and a left side, or, and I doubt very much, if you're still following along with me, that this little area of smoke grows into this bigger one on the left and then zigzags all the way up. And, or if it does, then it would do that very slowly. And if it did it slowly, you would have to think 5, 6, 7 seconds. And if you get anywhere near 5 seconds, you're at 240 frames, 250 frames. So the one I gave you was 88 frames just because I have 11 drawings. And it was just easier to manage, really. But smoke, here's your cigarette smoke.
Mm-hmm.
It's got this gentle S shape. And then you literally just go in and count. Or you just say, this little node right here, see this little node? Can you all see my cursor?
Yeah.
So this little node right here, and then this little node, it's like a letter E. See that? So this letter E is going to animate into this letter E right here. Just like the flag. It's almost exactly like the flag. And then that same shape animates into this shape, which is like a letter C shape. And then it animates again into this one. And again, cigarette smoke rises more slowly. So if it could be 128 frames, but you're not going to do it on 1s or 2s. That's going to be on 4s at least. Here's interesting little characters. Hair becomes smoke. And this is a reminder to you that smoke can go backwards. The air can change direction suddenly. You know, here's a example of just some really cartoony ones.
How about that path of action that's like even circling around with the node? Like
This one?
The path of action that loops around. Like,
This one?
yeah.
This one?
Would nodes switch sides or would they like stay consistent?
Let's not do this one.
Okay.
Let's save this one for later, because we're going to get into this kind of horizontal circular motion in our tornado. Good one.
Okay.
And we're going to do that one really fast.
Okay.
We're not going to do slow moving swirling smoke.
Just kind of know at the back of your head if you ever want to do that.
It's too much to keep track of. This one's good if you're going to do like a little undulation, a little left, right, back to the right again. This one right here is good. I like this one.
Seems really hard.
I'm going to put this one in my effects board. All right, so you're all invited to that effects board, right? You can see it?
Yeah.
So, you know, this one's on there. I like that one. And remember, too, there's a lot of different kinds of smoke, right? Like this airplane just took off. See its line of action? And then it's got the plume. And so you could have this. So this is not going to cycle. This thing is growing. But if I was doing this one right here, I would probably do it on 8s to begin with, maybe 4s if I needed to break it down. And then it depended on how, I wouldn't do this one for a game class. I would do this for animation because as this left side curl happens and the plane goes away, this might have to all be done straight ahead. I probably would not want to loop this at all. And I would go to the director and say, I'm not looping this. This is not cycling animation. Where something like this could be. And I think I have this one pinned to my board already as a vortex, as a tornado. You could do this one swirling in just like 12 drawings and it could look really awesome. Same thing with this one, as when we get to tornadoes. I don't know why it says music drawing, but that's what it says. All right, so that was
really hard.
So that